BingX, a trusted global crypto exchange. Trade spot, futures, or copy top traders easily. Sign up via the link or referral code to get 30 USDT instantly, plus up to 1,500 USDT in bonuses for verification, deposit, and trading.
Tensions are escalating in Ivory Coast as President Alassane Ouattara seeks an unprecedented fourth term in the upcoming October 25 presidential election, a move that has ignited a firestorm of protests and dissent across the nation. The president himself, seemingly unperturbed by the growing unrest, was captured jesting in 2023 about needing several more terms while inaugurating a bridge named in his honor in Abidjan, the country's bustling commercial hub. Supporters of Ouattara have pointed to the proliferation of new infrastructure projects, such as this bridge, as tangible proof of a modernizing nation guided by his stable leadership. Since he first assumed office in 2011, Ouattara's administration has overseen a significant ramp-up in national infrastructure development and impressive economic growth, which his allies claim has finally relegated decades of debilitating conflict to the annals of history. However, a disturbing sense of déjà vu is palpable among many Ivorians. Just this month, over 200 protesters found themselves facing tear gas and arrests in Abidjan, with demonstrations occurring even in neighborhoods just a mile from the very bridge Ouattara had proudly opened 2 years prior. These were the latest in a string of public gatherings by predominantly young citizens vehemently opposing Ouattara's decision to pursue a fourth term. The government's response has been swift and stringent, with a blanket ban now imposed on all protests. Adding to the growing concerns over a crackdown on free expression, leaders from two prominent opposition parties have come forward alleging that security forces conducted unannounced raids on their homes this month, devoid of any search warrants. Amidst this charged atmosphere, Simone Gbagbo, the principal opposition candidate and a figure once dubbed the Hillary Clinton of the tropics or the Iron Lady for her formidable reputation, stated her belief that these elections can be won without bloodshed. She emphasized that the right solution is not to march or boycott. The right solution is to vote. For older Ivorians, the current political climate evokes a potent sense of historical repetition. Ouattara, at 83, mirrors the age of Félix Houphouët-Boigny, the nation's first president, when a popular uprising in 1990 ushered in the country's first multi-party elections. In July, Ouattara officially confirmed what had been widely speculated in circles ranging from informal roadside eateries to formal diplomatic gatherings: he would indeed seek re-election. This mirrors his controversial decision in 2020, when he initially signaled he would not run for a third term, only to reverse his stance during the COVID-19 pandemic. He justified this U-turn by citing a 2016 constitutional amendment that he argued reset the electoral clock. The main opposition parties boycotted that election, resulting in a victory for Ouattara that was widely considered contentious. More controversy now looms as the nation prepares to head to the polls again. Two key opposition figures have been strategically sidelined. Laurent Gbagbo, now 80, remains ensnared by a past legal conviction stemming from the brutal post-electoral conflict of 2010 to 2011. Meanwhile, Tidjane Thiam, a former Credit Suisse banker aged 63, was disqualified after a court ruled he held French nationality at the time of his registration, a violation of Ivorian electoral law. Ouattara is set to contend with a field of less prominent candidates, including Simone Gbagbo and 3 former ministers. Whispers about his health persist, alongside claims that some within the elite, accustomed to the privileges of power, are subtly encouraging his continued candidacy. Yet, paradoxically, some of his own supporters have publicly urged him to step aside and pave the way for a new generation of leaders. As early as June, a headline in the weekly publication Le Sursaut featured a plea from an individual identifying as an Alassanist, a devoted follower of Ouattara, imploring, "Dear Papa Ouattara, don't be a candidate." Responding to the mounting criticism, Communications Minister Amadou Coulibaly asserted, "The president is exercising his legal right under the Constitution. He meets all criteria. Citizens are free to vote for or against him. That is democracy." He further highlighted the government's commitment to poverty reduction, citing statistics that show a decrease in the poverty rate from 55% in 2011 to 37% in 2024, with a target of having it to around 18% by 2030. The administration points to a nationwide infrastructure drive, including rural electrification, as evidence of a transformed country with improved living standards. However, this narrative of progress clashes with the lived reality for many. The cost of living has surged dramatically, particularly in Abidjan, while inequality remains stubbornly high, and the average life expectancy hovers at a mere 59 years. Simone Bagbo, speaking after a rally in Gagnoa, articulated this sentiment, stating, "A beautiful Ivory Coast with roads is good, but happy Ivorians are better. Ivorians are not happy." She underscored the fundamental principle that if we do politics, it is for the people. While Ouattara retains significant support in the northern regions and parts of the center, his popularity has notably waned in Abidjan. The former colonial power, France, has become a deeply unpopular entity in the region, and Ouattara, much like his Nigerian counterpart Bola Tinubu, is increasingly perceived by some as a pro-Parisian figurehead, an adversary to the burgeoning alliance of Sahel states. This perception has been amplified by a pervasive wave of disinformation, including fabricated rumors of a coup d'état earlier this year, which analysts suggest is part of a deliberate pattern. Vanessa Manisong, a data analyst at Code 4 Africa, noted that most of the campaigns, most of the fake news we've observed, come mainly from Burkina Faso. These operations, she explained, are often pro-Russia and anti-France in their messaging, aiming to undermine France's influence and its diplomatic ties with Ivory Coast. Ouattara's approval ratings have also been impacted by the disqualification of Tidjane Thiam, who leads a party founded by Ouattara's own great-uncle, Félix Houphouët-Boigny. Thiam's exclusion is seen by many as a continuation of the divisive identity politics that have plagued Ivory Coast for decades and were a primary catalyst for the civil wars of 2002 to 2007 and 2010 to 2011. The nation finds itself in a precarious state of heightened tension ahead of the election, with over 44,000 security personnel deployed nationwide. Diplomats and some expatriates have taken the precautionary measure of sending their families abroad temporarily. Last October, the influential Student Federation of Ivory Coast, allegedly linked to organized crime since its inception during the 1990 uprisings, was banned following 2 student murders and the discovery of weapon caches. There are palpable fears that the Federation's numerous factions could emerge to support their preferred candidates, further complicating an already volatile electoral landscape. Rivals of President Ouattara have called for daily protests, hoping to force an audit of the electoral register and the reinstatement of their disqualified leaders.